Today I thought I would talk about poisonous plants or toxic plants. It's important to know what is toxic on your property because it's going to be different from other properties. We all live in different parts of the nation or planet, and what's common in your area may not be common in my area. I'm in the goat paddock right now, and as you can see, there's goats around. Thankfully, nobody will eat this plant right here. This is called bitterweed. Now, there's a whole bunch of different types of bitterweed. The scientific name of the plant may be different, but a lot of people will call it bitterweed. This is what's growing all in my goat paddock. And it's easy for me to spot because it's very different than the other plants that are growing around here. And I've been working on getting rid of this for years now. Every year when I see it, I pull them up. A few years ago, I had so much bitterweed in my chicken paddock that I actually had burn piles of brush on top of them because this stuff doesn't want to burn very well. What I've been doing this year is pulling up the plants and putting them in my bucket here, and I'll put 1 to 2 buckets worth in the burn barrel, and then when it's a good day for burning, I set it on fire. But I've got to wait a couple days afterward. There's a lot of oils or something in this plant, and when it's fresh like this, it doesn't want to burn unless it's a very high heat. I have tried taking the pear burner and just torching the plants, and it does nothing. That was a waste of propane. Excuse me. So I just thought I'd bring this to those who may not know what this particular plant is but have seen it growing. What alerted me was that the goats will not eat it. They avoid it. And so I started asking on Facebook about it and learned that it is a bitter weed. So I'm trying to eradicate it, but it's hard since it grows on my neighbor's land. But I am making some progress. But you need to know what's toxic in your area. What is growing on your land? And don't assume that goats will just automatically not eat it. I've heard of people who's, they were aware that there were toxic plants on their property, but they assumed the goats would not eat it. And then the goats went and gorged on the plant and died. I've had a goat eat, that plant you get at Christmas time. I can't think of the name right now, but it's red and pretty, and everybody buys it at Christmas. And it's toxic, but I had a goat that ate it. She ate the plant, the whole thing. Thankfully, she was okay, but you cannot assume that your livestock will avoid all toxic plants because they won't. I have actually made the choice to get rid of lilacs and other plants because of the goats when I found out it was toxic. So there's lists on the internet. They're not perfect, but there are lists, and if you're near other ranchers or homesteaders or whatever, people who've lived there for generations, they'll tell you if a plant is, bad for an animal or something. But just find out what is growing in your area, know what it is, and be aware if it's, especially if the animals are avoiding it, you need to take note of that. If they're eating it, but you have suspicions that it may not be good, or you just don't even know what it is, find out, because, your livestock can be killed eating stuff that is toxic to them. So, know your plants, especially those that the animals can get to. So I just thought I would show you today, what bitter weed that's growing at least on my property looks like, and how I'm attempting to get rid of it. Hope you have a nice day. Bye-bye.